Good evening to all the viewers who are watching live and will be watching on the recorded version. So this is one thing to say that since this is a short notice CME, so we didn't conduct any quiz competition. But feel free to join that link. It's given on the description below. So without wasting any more time, let's just jump onto our 30 seconds countdown time.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening,
Good evening.
sir.
Good evening. Very good evening.
Uh, it's an auspicious day today. We are hosting our 95th CME, and it's a birthday of great teacher, mentor, and guide, Dr. S.P. Desa. So, our tribute to that master, the great philosopher, teacher, Dr. S.P. Desa. And with your permission, Kalyani sir, let us call upon on screen tonight's inaugurator, Dr. Susmita Kumari. She
Please
is
call.
she is in Department of Ayush. Over to you, Dr. Susmita.
Good evening, Kalyani sir and Bidyut sir. Am I audible, sir?
Yeah, clearly audible. Carry on.
Okay, welcome to the online CME. My esteemed teachers, seniors, doctors, and colleagues, I would like to extend a warm welcome to all of you participating in the 95th session of online continuing medical education program of NIH Alumni Association on the topic titled Rendezvous with Stress. As we all know, we are healthcare professionals. We understand the significant impact stress can have on our patients' well-being, but we are not immune to it ourselves. The pressure of our profession, coupled with the realities of the modern world, can leave us feeling burned out and overwhelmed. This online CME program is designed to address this critical need. It provides us a platform about deepening our understanding of stress. Learn some evidence-based stress management techniques like relaxation techniques, mindfulness practices, and CBT therapies. We are going to share our best practices and clinical experiences. And since we are talking about homeopathy, we have a wide range of remedies related to stress. Like we can include aconite, gelsemium, that is for fright, stage fright and performance anxiety, ignatia for long continued grief, and lycopodium for stress due to overwork, etc. So we have a vivid scope to explore. Now, moving forward, I am confident that this online CME program will be a valuable resource for all of us. Together, let's equip ourselves with the knowledge and tools to combat stress and promote well-being for ourselves and our patients. Further, I am happy to announce that our speaker today is Dr. Namrata Singh. She is a medical officer, CGHS, New Delhi, and Dr. Namrata will be sharing her insight with us today. Before welcoming Dr. Namrata, I would like to first welcome our moderator, Dr. Pralay Sharma sir, for joining us today. He is currently posted as Deputy Medical Superintendent in charge at National Institute of Homeopathy, Kolkata. He has rich experience and sound knowledge in dealing with such cases. Now, I would like to hand over the online CME program to today's moderator, Dr. Pralay Sharma sir. Sir, please welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Susmita. Good evening, Dr. Kalyani, Dr. Bidyut Mukherjee. Good evening to all the viewers. As a moderator, I'm privileged today to once again welcome you all to this today's CME program on a webinar. on the subject of rendezvous with stress. The session promises to be very insightful, very meaningful, as it focuses on a very good topic, which is relevant and ever increasing in our daily life. As we navigate the complexities of modern life, stress has become a common companion for all of us. Understanding its cause, effect, and management strategies is important for all of us because we are healthcare giver. To give a better support to our patient as well as ourselves, this topic of today's discussion is very important one. I will encourage everyone who are watching this webinar today uh, to actively participate by sharing your ideas, views, and thoughts and question throughout the session in the chat box. Our goal is to foster a dynamic and engaging discussion today that will enhance our collective understanding. It's my pleasure to introduce our presenter, our speaker today, Dr. Namrata Singh. He is ex-BHMS student of this institution, presently pursuing MD, as well as she is a medical officer in CGHS scheme. She is a dedicated and insightful ex-student of our institution, whose passion in homeopathy, as well as on this subject to be discussed today, will be evident in her presentation, what I believe. Uh, she will be guiding us throughout the session for the contemporary strategies. She will be shedding light on their practical application and benefits along with the therapeutics. Thank you for joining us today, and let's make this platform to learn and to grow with together. Dr. Namrata, the floor is yours. Thank you so much.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
So, shall I
Dr.
start?
Namrata, the floor is yours. You can go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, respected teachers, mentors, seniors, batchmates, and juniors, and all other viewers. I, Dr. Namrata Singh, would like to share with you all in attendance here the different aspects and manifestations involved with the psychological stress and also the word stress itself. In today's discussion, we are going to catch glimpses of different facades that are adorned by the reactions of psychological stressful events. Psychological symptoms, broadly speaking, at many times are mere reaction to stressful situations or experiences. Most of these reactions may not be severe or prolonged enough to get classified into anxiety, depression, or maniacal disorder as such, but they do seem strong enough to be enough distressing to day lives and also causing much havoc in the tranquility of one's life. It brings upon individual the stress overall and initially which is confined to the mental sphere, but many a times it paves a concrete road that also involves the physical plane. Let us start with the slideshow. So this is a rendezvous with stress, which is an overview of the inroads that stress forms inside. Coming on to the most basic question, what is stress? According to the American Psychological Association, stress can be brief, situational, and a positive force motivating performance, but if experienced over an extended period of time, it can become chronic stress, which negatively impacts health and well being. Told by Oscar Wilde rightly that the mind can go either directions under stress, either towards positive or towards negative, on or off. Think of it as a spectrum whose extremes are unconsciousness at the negative end and hyperconsciousness at the positive end. The way the mind will lean under stress is strongly influenced by training. In psychology, stress is a feeling of emotional strain and pressure. Stress is a type of psychological plane. The conceptualization of stress has been done in three headings. Either it can be seen as a response, a stimulus, or as a transaction. Now, coming on, many a times we feel, is it just stress or anxiety? So let us see what are the facades of the stress. Stressful reactions generally take into four forms. Either it is a normal reaction to stress, or acute stress disorder, or PTSD, also known as post-traumatic stress disorder, or adjustment disorder. Now, coming to normal reaction of stress. When individuals experience psychological stress, their reactions can vary widely based on their personality, circumstances, and also the intensity of the stressors involved. However, there are several common physiological, emotional, cognitive, and behavioral reactions that are considered as normal responses to stress. Citing few physiological reactions being increased heart rate or blood pressure, wherein the body prepares itself for action by pumping more blood to the muscles and vital organs. There may be muscle tension, which is the tightness in muscle, particularly of the back, neck, and shoulder, as a result of body's readiness to respond physically. There may be shallow breathing, rapid shallow breaths, which is just to increase O2 intake for heightened alertness, and also sweating, which is increased perspiration due to heightened arousal of the sympathetic nervous system in response to stress. Emotional reactions of the stress may involve anxiety and worry, that is, persistent feeling of unease, apprehension, or fear about the present or future. There may be mood changes, that is, fluctuations in the mood, such as irritability, mood swings, or feeling overwhelmed. There may be fear, which is intense feeling of panic, especially in response to the immediate stressor. We also have cognitive reactions. That is, we have difficulty concentrating in stressful environments. We have problems related to memory due to cognitive overloads. And also, we have a pessimism which is in lieu to the potential negative outcomes, which is constantly being focused by our brains. In behavioral reactions to stressful situations, we have a tendency to withdrawal, which is isolation is a way to cope with the stressor and avoid potential triggers. We run away from the situation basically. Next is there is a change in eating and sleeping habits. We start waking up late at night and then trying to sleep the whole day. So there are changes like that. We have also, there is a increased tendency to get acquainted or be into substance use. It may be cocaine, smoking, alcohol, or any of those sort. These reactions are considered normal responses to stress. Prolonged or intense stress may have detrimental effect on both physical and mental well-being. Going to the second form of stressful reactions, we have acute stress disorder. Acute stress disorder is a psychological condition that can occur in response to the traumatic event or to a series of traumatic events that takes place. It shares similarities with the third subtype, that is the post-traumatic stress disorder, but is distinguished by the timing and duration of the symptoms and its persistence. Acute stress disorder is characterized by symptoms arising typically shortly after the traumatic event. It may be either in between 3 days from the point of action of the stress or till 1 month from the point of action of stress, but not beyond. The clusters of dissociative, intrusive, and negative mood and arousal may be the symptoms. It may include intense psychological distress when exposed to reminds of the stressful events. There may be flashbacks, there may be nightmares. Also, there may be hypervigilance to the reactions. There may be exaggerated, startling responses. There may be exaggerated fear, anger, shame, horror, guilt, and detachment and dissociative amnesia, wherein the patient tries to escape the traumatic event while talking or while going on ahead with his life. Coming to the next, that is distinguished by the acute stress disorder only in terms of its severity and persistence, is post-traumatic stress disorder. Post-traumatic stress disorder is defined as mental health condition that can develop in individuals in response to single traumatic events or series of events perceived as life-threatening, severely distressing, or emotionally overwhelming. To be diagnosed with PTSD, symptom must persist for more than 1 month, and it must be strong enough to impair the day-to-day functioning of an individual. There may be extreme arousal, extreme and intense detachment from the surrounding, from people, from the loved ones, and also numbing with transient breakdown of mechanism in form of intrusive memory and extreme pessimism. Next, and the last of the facades is the adjustment disorder, which is very commonly seen but more commonly ignored. Symptoms of adjustment disorder occurs within 3 months of experiencing a stressful event. The stressful events, which are very commonly seen but more commonly ignored, as said before, like relationship issues, loss or change of job, financial difficulties, health problems, health problems of near and dear ones, new location changing, or there is a change of address, change of environment, change of comfort zone, moving to a new city, moving to a new country, moving to a new prospect of job altogether, major life changes, which may also include empty nest syndrome. Symptoms may be depressed mood, there is a persistent anxiety, difficulty concentrating, there are behavioral changes, and also physical symptoms, which are just emotional symptoms turning and changing their faces to the somatic forms. Symptoms should not persist beyond 6 months after the stress ends in cases where adjustment disorder is to be made a diagnosis. Going ahead, we have components of psychological responses to the stressful circumstances. There may be emotional response, there may be somatic response, and there may be psychological changes. Coming to the stressors, we must also talk about how are things managed or what are the coping strategies. So, coping strategies is applied to activities which the person has awareness of. It may be potentially adaptive or maladaptive. In potentially adaptive coping strategy, we have the tendency to avoid, we have a tendency to work through the problems, and we also have a tendency to come in terms to the situation which is persisting. If the coping strategy is maladaptive, we see there is an inclination to excessive use of alcohol or drugs, also smoking, histrionic or aggressive behavior. We tend to overreact, we have emotional outbursts, and there is also deliberate self-harm. Coping strategies may also include positive reinterpretation and growth, which is a very positively taken and adaptive type of coping strategy, mental disengagement, focusing on and venting of emotions, use of instrumental social support, active coping, denial, religious coping, humor, behavioral disengagement, restraint, use of emotional support, social support, substance use, acceptance, and suppression of completely competing activities, and planning. Coming to mechanism of defense. Now, mechanism of defense refers to the unconscious mental processes. Mechanism of defense was described originally by Sigmund Freud. He is also known as the father of psychoanalysis. There are these unconscious processes that take place, which the mind has in up the mind sleeves just to cope with stressful events. More common of the mechanism of defense is there is repression, regression, denial, and displacement. And lesser common seen are projections, reaction formation, rationalization, sublimation, and identification. According to Freud, most fundamental mechanism of defense is repression. It involves pushing threatening or unacceptable thought processes, memories, or impulses to the unconscious mind. By repression, one avoids conscious awareness of the stressor. In regression, reverting to an earlier, more immature stage of development in face of stress is seen. It allows an individual to temporarily retreat to a time where they feel safe and secure, also seen where an adult starts behaving like a child. For example, an adult, when dealing with stress, starts to have temper tantrums where he or she may show childlike temper or temperament. Denial. In denial, there is a refusal to acknowledge the existence of an anxiety provoking reality. We simply deny the existence of any such situation that causes stress. In displacement, there is redirecting emotions or impulses from original threatening set source to a substitute target which is non-threatening. Then going on to projection, we start projecting in our mind something which is very overwhelming to something that is underwhelming. We start projecting something which is not present. Uh, in case that there is someone who is very stressed about the job that the person is in, that person will start projecting into something else. That person will start projecting the other uh, lesser important things of the job as the major ones and start ignoring the major troublesome portions. Then we have sublimation, whereas channelizing the socially unacceptable impulses or urges to socially acceptable or constructive behavior. Also, we have reaction formation, that is, adopting attitudes, behaviors, or beliefs that are opposite to one's true feelings or desire, wherein a person will start adorning very nice and good behavior for people who are very troublesome to the individual and his sake of sanity. Coming over to grief. So grief is one of the most common subject to be romanticized into prose and poetry, literature and whatnot, yet grief is something that is to each its own. No verse or couplet is enough to serve as a balm to the wounds of the grief or bereaved and change any person's reactions to what loss could invoke in that person's life. Going through the classification of grief, we have inhibited grief, where there is an absence of expected grief symptoms at any stage. We have delayed grief, where there is avoidance of painful symptoms within the 2 weeks of loss, that is denial. Chronic grief, where continued significant grief related symptoms 6 months after loss is seen. Broadly speaking, if we see normal grief, there are 3 stages. Stage 1, that lasts for few hours to several days. There is denial, disbelief, numbness, lack of emotional responses with feeling of unreality and difficulty to accept the present situation. Stage 2 comes few weeks to 6 months, where there is overwhelming waves of grief, somatic responses to grief, restlessness, lack of appetite, intense experience of being in presence of the deceased, vivid imagery, illusions, hallucinations, and social withdrawal. Also, there may be symptoms of anxiety. In stage 3, all the symptoms resolve and activities are resumed. Normalcy is achieved partially. Coming to abnormal grief. Now, if reaction is more intense and satisfies the criteria of depressive disorder, it is prolonged. The reactions of grief is prolonged for more than 6 months or so, and the grief reactions are delayed at onset. When the stressor is very much new and at its inception, then we can term it as abnormal grief. Abnormal grief can be seen after a sudden or unexpected death, when bereaved person was very close to and or dependent on the deceased, when the survivor is insecure or have difficult in expressing the feelings or has survived a previous psychiatric disorder, when the survivor has to care for dependent children and cannot express emotion easily. Talking about grief, there is always a model that has explained the grief cycle, which is known as the Kubler-Ross model. Kubler-Ross model explains the stages of grief into 5. Kubler-Ross model was made or was postulated by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross in her 1969 book, which was named as On Death and Dying, which was very much inspired by terminally ill patients which she dealt with. She explains the concept of grief into 5 stages, that is DAPDA, also which culminates into denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. In the stage of denial, we have avoidance of the situation, of the reality, of the stressor that is in front of us. There is confusion, there is elation, because you actually cannot comprehend what kind of emotions that are being aroused in you after the stress event. Shock and fear. Then comes anger, where there is frustration, irritation, anxiety. Then we have bargaining, where we struggle to find meaning. We keep reaching out to others, and we always see ourselves turning ourselves into the spiritual or religious force, so that something could be done about the present situation and things could be reversed back to normalcy. Then we have depression, where the patient or individual is overwhelmed, helpless, hostile, and has the tendency to shut himself or herself out of the entire world and socially withdraw in all sense. And finally, we get acceptance, where the individual starts to seek new ways to move out and on. Information and communication can be widely used in cases where the individual is still under the cycle of denial and anger. We need emotional support for people who are into stages of bargaining and depression, and also guidance and direction where people have got acceptance. Explains denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and final acceptance. Now, manifestations of grief can be varied. Psychological symptoms may include sadness, anxiety, helplessness. There may be emotional lability, irritability, disbelief, apathy, hallucinations of the deceased persons, may be visual or auditory, numbness, denial, and there may be a constant search for the deceased. Physical symptoms, that is, the somatic response of grief, may include anorexia, changes in appetite, changes in sleeping pattern, there may be fatigue, there may be chest pain, headache, palpitations, and also, in many cases, gastrointestinal distress. Coming to the homeopathic management of reactions of stress. Going through drugs, we have very commonly used drugs, but I have tried to include some uncommon drugs too when it comes to cases which deals with stress. Absinthium has the indication of loss of memory when faced with stressful situations. That patient tries to have a dissociative amnesia, that is, forgets what has happened recently. That is also a kind of withdrawal, wants nothing to do with anybody. Aconitum nipalis, a state of fear, anxiety, anguish of mind and body. There is physical and mental restlessness and fright, which maintains the most characteristic manifestations of aconite. There is great fear, anxiety, and worry, which accompanies all trivial ailments. Delirium is characterized in aconite by unhappiness, excessive worry, fear, raving, but the patient is rarely unconscious, and there may be fears and forebodings. In Agnus Castus, we have sadness with impression of speedy death. There may be absent-mindedness, forgetfulness, and utter lack of courage, also like gelsemium. There is nervous depressions and mental forebodings. In alpha alpha, we can use alpha alpha because it induces mental exhilarations of buoyancy. That is, there is a general feeling of well-being when taken regularly, clear and bright, so that all blues are dissipated. The alpha alpha may also have symptoms like dull, drowsy, and stupid. In umbra grigia, we have dread of people and desire to be alone. They cannot do anything in presence of others. There is loss of love for life and also a constant dwelling about unpleasant things. In ammonia mure, we find consequences of grief. There is desire to cry, but the patient cannot. There is melancholy, apprehension, from internal grief that is not expressed. Antim crude finds a patient in sentimental mood. They are angry at every little attention. Cross and contradictive, whatever is done fails to give him satisfaction. In Apis mellifica, we find apathy, indifference, stupor, which alternates with erotic mania. There is jealous, fidgety, and hard to please attitude. And also, there are effects of jealousy, fright, rage, vexation, and grief. In Aquilegia vulgaris, which is also a good remedy for hysteria, we have sleeplessness and globus and clavus hystericus. Aragillus lamberti finds patients which are bewildered, have constant mental confusions and apathy. They have difficulty in concentrating mind, and they are also absent-minded and have great depression, which is more in evening and morning. In Argentum nitricum, we see that the patient thinks his understanding must and will fail. There is melancholia and apprehension, which is very marked. There is peculiar mental impulses, which is very much evident, and hidden irrational motives for action. In Arsenicum album, most commonly used, great anguish and restlessness. Patient tries to change places continuously. This is also marked with great restlessness. Feels it's useless to take medicine. There is despair, which drives him from place to place. And also there is sensitivity towards disorder and confusion. In belladonna, we see that the patient lives in his own world, which is engrossed in specters and visions, and is oblivious to the surrounding realities. This is almost denial. He is acutely alive and crazed by a flood of subjective visual impressions and fantastic illusions, a complete picture of the reaction denial. There is changeable temperament and there is a disinclination to talk. In cases where calcarea carb is the indicated remedy, we see apprehensions, which is worse towards evening. There is fear of loss of reason, impending misfortune, and also contagious disease that is at bay. There is low spirit and forgetfulness. In causticum, we see sad, hopeless, intensely sympathetic individuals who have ailments from long lasting grief, sudden emotions, and they have this tendency that the symptoms aggravate when thinking. Hemorrhoids have a tendency to get aggravated. In Gelsemium, there is apathy regarding his illnesses. There is absolute lack of fear, emotional excitement, fear, etc., that causes somatic responses, and bad effects of fear, fright, and exciting news. In Ignatia, mentally the emotional element is most marked, and hence it is one of the chief remedy of hysteria. There is a constant effect of grief and worry. Hiccup and hysterical vomiting is seen as an indicated symptom of Ignatia. There is changeable mood, introspective, silent brooding. They are non-communicative. They keep sighing and sobbing. There is aftershocks, grief, disappointment. Congestive headaches constantly keep following in cases of anger or grief. There is menstrual suppression from grief and also insomnia from grief. In indigo, it is said to be undoubted benefit in the treatment of epilepsy, which comes with great sadness. There is an excited mood and a tendency to be industrious. That is, the patient will always keep on doing something or the other. Neurasthenia and hysteria is seen in indigo, where gloomy cries at night, and there are hysterical symptoms where pain predominates. In hyoscyamus, we have individuals who are very suspicious. They are inclined to laugh at everything, and there is a delirium with an attempt to run away. In phosphoric acid, we have mental debility, which is more predominant than the physical. It is a congenial soil for actions of phosphoric acid in young people who grow rapidly and who are overtaxed mentally and physically. Whenever our symptoms are exposed to the ravages of acute diseases, excesses, grief, loss of vital fluids, we can see conditions calling for phosphoric acid. There are effects of grief and mental shocks, and the patient may be seen as an apathetic and indifferent person. In phytolacca, we have indifference, which is very marked, indifference to life. They have also loss of personal delicacy, disregard to the surrounding objects. In picric acid, there is lack of willpower and disinclination to work. Hypermethysticum finds itself important and indicated in patients who are very sensitive, have exaltation of mind, and their pain or symptoms are seen to be ameliorated by diversion of mind. In Nux muscata patients, we have a strange feeling with irresistible drowsiness, which is very marked. There is lipothymia, which is mental prostration after grief. It is also seen in Ignatia. There is bewildered sense, as in they tend to cut themselves out from reality, and they make a sense of, they have a sense of a complete different world that they have in their mind. There is a changeability of that spans from laughing to crying. In Nux vomica, there is disposition to reproach others. There is sullen, fault-finding tendency, and little ailment means the least of the problems affects him greatly. There is an hypochondriasis. In opium, there is an inability of the patient to unable to understand. They are unable to understand their sufferings and appreciate the amount and magnitude of the same. The diseases originate from fright. It is said after the because of the remaining effects of fright, we can think of Sambicus and opium after reconnite. The patient wants to do nothing and wants to have nothing. On Ornithogallum, we have depression of spirits and feeling of sickness which keeps the patients awake. In Oxytropis lamberti, we have a desire to be alone and disinclination to work or talk. There is also an aggravation on thinking about the symptoms, mental depression, and restlessness in sleep. Palladium has a love of approbation. They are easily offended and keeps up brightly when in company, very exhausted afterwards with aggravation of pain and other symptoms. In petroleum, we have marked aggravations from mental emotions. Petroleum patients feel that the death is near and he must hurry to settle affairs. They may be low spirited with dimness of vision. In phosphorus, there may be great depression of spirits, dread of death when alone, and insanity with an exaggerated idea of one own self. In Suriname, we have hopeless despair of recovery, melancholic, deep, and persistent, and there is also suicidal tendencies. Pulsatilla can be seen as highly emotional patients with uh, a weeping tendency, timidity, irresolution, and given to extremes of pleasures and pain. Natrum mur have the seat of ill effects of grief, fright, and anger. They are depressed, particularly in chronic diseases, and have an irritability and gets into passion about trifles. Stramonium has rapid changes from joy to sadness and cannot bear solitude or darkness. Veratrum album has melancholia with stupor and mania. They have sullen indifference and delusions of impending misfortunes. Xanthosylum has mental depression and they are very nervous and frightened as a whole entity. Zincum are very sensitive to noise. They have an aversion to talking and work and any activity as a whole, and they are very lethargic and stupid. Going through the different remedies, there may be many remedies which I have maybe skipped or maybe I could not get hold of. But materia medica has always been an arena where any remedy can be indicated or individualized according to a patient's case. Reaction can be varied and also can be the nature of the stressful experiences. With proper investigations and case taking, we can lead our way to the root cause of the array of manifestations that the human mind has to stress. Human mind, being the most beautifully laid program, is so intricately enlined and diversified in its outcome that even reactions to same stimuli differ according to different individuals. Counseling, in addition to the individualized homeopathic medicines, can do wonders in the sphere of such cases and bring forth amazing new learning experiences as a whole. That's all from my side.
Thank you so much, Dr. Namrata. It was a wonderful side. I, on behalf of Alumni Association, I congratulate you for this wonderful presentation out here. As a moderator, I have to add on certain points into it. And what I was noticing that Dr. Namrata, she has talked about the concept of stress. She has talked about the psychological and somatic responses to stress. In long length, she has narrated. She has also talked about the coping strategies and defense mechanism, also been well covered. The grief and its stages also been covered. Differentiate between potentially adaptive and maladaptive coping mechanism also been discussed well. Common and less common defense mechanism, that is regression, repression, denial, projection, etc., also been discussed well. She also has narrated about the grief, the Kubler-Ross model, and Hahnemann approach to mental diseases. Homeopathic management by different homeopathy drugs, uh, which have been used for the stress, has been uh, well described out here, and this was quite informative, in fact. To add on this into this moderation part of this today's webinar, what to like to add on is that the homeopathy literature, that in homeopathy literature we get the word stress. That is true. We also get certain words, certain disease condition or symptom, like fear, anxiety, anguish, anger, mental restlessness, fright, worry, raving, sadness, absent mindedness, nervous depression, melancholy, apathy, indifferent, changeable temperament, apprehensive, grief, insomnia, easily offended. There are a lot of words. There are a lot of sign or symptom which are basically developed out of stress. That we have to agree with this, and accordingly one has to go with the prescription. That one has to remember, that part one has to remember. Stress equal to homeopathic medicine, we do not stand into this. That we have to explore the different dimension of stress, that the complication of the stress has to be considered into. And as I in my small experience, what I like to add on once again, that one wonderful drug, a group of drug, the magnesia group of drug, that you will see very often we do get patient, particularly the children, that the child has born and brought up in a family where the parents are there only, the husband and wife. The husband and wife are very quarrelsome. They fight. Always they fight. They fight, and they do have maladjustment problem. And the baby, the child, is growing up in that situation, always observing the fight, the conflict between father and mother, and the child is growing. And they are very often neglected in their sympathy. In this category of the patient, if the child have now migraine, the child have now the unspecific headache, or the child have a abdominal pain, or the child has developed a constipation, or the child has developed a recurrent loose stool, a GI upset, recurrent GI upset, whatever can be the disease condition, whatever can be the symptom. If the child has grown up in a family where there is a conflict and conflict, the group of medicine will be the choice of drug. The magnesium mure, magnesium carb, even macphos is an orphan medicine, orphan group of medicine, where the child been neglected and where the child had to face a lot of stress during the developmental period. That MAC group can be considered, and we do get a good result into it. This is one magnesia group. Then I'll tell about one medicine, that is Germanium metallicum. This medicine we use as an intercurrent remedy. This Germanium metallicum is a medicine particularly for the civil servant, those who are very much educated. They have always gone with the book, with a target, with a goal. They have gone, they have to achieve this, and always been stress. They are very duty bound. Whatever task has been given to them, they will do it. Even the education, they have targeted, they have to crack the civil examination. That is the reason they keep on studying, and always there is a stress, and they feel that if I do not get it, if I cannot crack this, then what will be the fate? This stress remains to them. As a complication, if they develop certain sign and symptom out of this uh, duty bound work, work which has given them a very good result into it, but this result is out of maintaining long continuous stress. There, as an intercurrent remedy, we always consider germanium metallicum. That is very good. That could consider this. It will be a good prescription always. And this germanium metallicum patient is they are always afraid. They are afraid about their authority. They understand, if my boss says something, he is afraid, stress. Again, this is germanium metallicum. Next, I will talk about one group of medicine, that is, we all know this medicine, that if somebody is engaged in prolonged nursing, somebody in the family is sick and chronically ill, that person, the lady, that gentleman has to give a care to the patient, a health caregiver. All day and night they are serving. They are, with their all possible care, they are serving to their patient, or to their parents, to their mother, to a brother, towards their father. They are serving long continued period. They have a sleepless night, but always stress is there. Now, out of this stress, they, if they develop certain disease or certain disease condition, certain symptom, then we all know the nitric acid is the possibly the choice of drug that very often we do prescribe. But one has to remember that apart from this, if the symptom corresponds, apart from nitric acid, one can go with the cocculus indica. Cocculus indica, then the causticum is again a medicine for such kind of prolonged nursing in the bedside. Another medicine I'll talk, that medicine is very often we do give. The medicine is Staphysagria. Staphysagria is that one. Suppose there is a family. The family father is Lycopodium and the mother is Sepia. Father is dictatorial, always commanding. A mother is Sepia, means indifferent. There is a child, he grows up. He is the elder one, and he has certain, he has brother and sister. The elder one elder one take the responsibility of the family, give sympathy to their brother, to his sister, to his brother, and the brother sister grows up. The elder brother has done a lot for their brothers and sister, for his brothers and sister. Now time has come, the brother and sister is not giving respect to the elder one. The medicine is again is a strategy that one has to remember. There is every possibility the son or daughter of Lycopodium and Scipia can be a staphysaceae. And for to talk about the grief, we do have many a medicine. We do have a causticum. We do have a lachesis. Lachesis, possibly this grief is out of jealousy, maybe. We do have Ignatia. We all know we do have a natrum mur. We know, but the peculiar part of natrum mur to discuss is that whenever you ask about the grief to the natrum mur patient, they get irritated. They do not tell. They will not narrate. Though they have a grief, but they feel discomfort while narrating his or her grief. That is what an atram use. That is one part we would like to add on. And next I will talk about certain medicine like nux vomica, stress to irritability. Stress has given irritability. That is very common one, hopefully. But here we always like to give nux vomica. Stress to irritability, we take a consideration in nux vomica. Sometimes we do consider the natramute too. But here one has to remember, if the irritability is much more because of this stress, then the medicine one has to consider, the medicine is Proteus. The Proteus is a medicine, wonderful remedy for irritability, where stress is in the background. That one has to remember. There is one medicine that stress to chupchap, stress to chup, stress to the stress has led to that mental condition that the patient doesn't talk at all. He or she avoids everything, doesn't like to talk. Stress, and indifferent. The medicine is a we all know the medicine is sepia. The sepia has to be given for those patients. As we have been talking about the duty bound medicine, the dutiful person who has faced a lot of stress, for them, apart from germanium, we do have a certain medicine like arsenic album. We do have a carcinosin. Carcinosin is a dutiful and take the responsibility. Well responsible. Those trace, but the responsibility is the highest. They take the responsibility. The carcinosin is like that of way they cope with. They go with that they are dutiful as well as they are responsible person. Oramet also responsible. But interesting part is the Oramet person is in that way. They understand that I have to do, I have been asked, so I will do. They are responsible. If somebody says, they will do it, but of their own interest, of their own instinct, they will not do. This aurum metallicum is in that way. They behave. That one has to consider into it. I will add on another two medicine, very interesting medicine. That is if out of stress, out of anxiety, if there is sleeplessness, if the patient does not sleep well, if there is insomnia, occurrence of insomnia, and we do have very good remedy that, in fact, that works very well. The medicine is Pisidia. Pisidia in potency it is available, and in tincture also it is available. The selection of potency is up to you. It's yours. Your technique. What we'll adopt. One medicine I'd like to add on out here. That is that is a batch flower, but it is available in the market in potency too. That is agrimony. As you all know, the agrimony is a medicine for to cope with stress, and this stress is that the patient is outwardly though they are too much stressed, the outwardly they are very happy. They are very with a smiling face. They always a smiling face, though they have a stress. Smiling face like a belladonna, like oramet. They have a smiling face, but inside they have a stress and stress. Behavior is very good. They are very very interactive. They do have a smiling face like belladonna and oramet, but they do have a stress. The medicine is agrimony. Agrimony is basically originated from the best flower remedy, but it is available in potency right now. So we do have possibly we do have a lot of medicine to discuss, but homeopathy literature is not been developed in that way that one discussion will vividly elaborate all the drugs is not possible always. But one has to remember this: out of stress there can be multiple complication in a way that this stress can lead to excess of your adrenaline, excess of your cortisol, which can lead to the hypertension, atherosclerosis, and there can be exacerbation of hypertension and atherosclerosis too if somebody is under stress. Many of the disease, even the aphthous ulcer also stress related. There have been published article in a newspaper that we have seen that a very famous physician has wrote that if the daughter doesn't get married in time, the mother has aphthous ulcer, stress and stress. And we do have many a medicine for aphthous ulcer like Paxol. We do have a cornus sarcinator. We do have a borax for this aphthous ulcer. But unless you treat the stress, unless you cope with the stress, the aphthous ulcer will be a recurrent phenomenon with the person. That one has to remember. The stress can lead to many a disease, even the peptic ulcer diseases that can be out of the stress. Autoimmune diseases, particularly the lupus, particularly the rheumatoid arthritis, uh, mm, psoriasis can be out of the stress factor. Either they will invite this autoimmune diseases, or it will exacerbate the disease condition. So one has to remember that if there is a constantly there is a stress, there is constantly release of their maintenance of high level of cortisol in the body, high level of adrenaline in the body, which can invite many of the complications. So this was from my part, my moderation part, and I believe that this webinar went well. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, the Dr. Kalyani, the president, Dr. Bidyut Mukherjee, the secretary, Dr. Namrata, Dr. Susmita today, who has inaugurated this today's session. With these few words, I conclude my speech. Thank you so much. So over to you, Bidyut, Dr. Bidyut. You are not audible, hopefully. Namrata, am I audible?
So you are audible, but I think Dr. Bidyut sir,
He is not
his mic
audible.
is not audible. Yes.
If he is not audible, I'll invite Dr. Kalyani sir to speak.
Request Dr. Kalyani sir to say a few
Yeah,
words.
yeah.
Okay,
Dr.
okay.
Bidyut, you are audible now.
Thank you.
Over
Thank
to
you,
you,
Pralay.
Kalyani sir.
Many, many thanks to Susmita and today's brilliant speaker of today, Namrata. Excellent presentation. Very details along with Mathematica. And this seminar it has become very beautiful and ornamented by our beloved Dr. Pralay Sharma by giving his experiences from mathematics and from his own experiences. So let us,
Thank you.
he has told every details. Let me add a few words that the more we'll grow, the society will grow, the more earth, human beings of the earth will improve. Gradually, the trace factor proportionately will increase because trace is the basic need of development. Whatever you are developing in the world, whatever creation has been done by the human beings, the basic source is trace. That Namrata beautifully explained. Once trace become serious, uncontrolled, undue, then it becomes a sickness. So trace is a very common, very wanted thing for everybody. But that should be restrained, controlled, and limited. We must learn how to control the trace, how to keep the trace in right route than from the
Yes.
suffering.
Yes.
What is the basic difference between the persons who are under trace and who are not under trace? You see, from physiology, we find once a person goes under trace, his body temperature increases, pressure increases to some extent, respiration rate sometimes increases. Ultimately, he becomes a person of acidosis. Skin become dark, sunken eyes, lusterless skin and hairs. Gradually, he becomes a dry and lusterless person, whether lady or boy or lady or boy, anybody. So this lusterless condition, he is not able to cope with the trace. It is a socio-psychological combination troubles. Every individual you have to face, and we have to take it into granted that day by day, with development of human beings, with the development of the human society, we have to face more and more and more traces. What we have to learn is how to control. Very simple ways from the ancient days. Many peoples, many peoples have shown how to reduce, how to control trace. I will tell you the difference between the two persons. One person is under trace, either his service or business or student or parents, whatever may be. Just imagine his appearance, dress, face, hairs, look, type of talking, type of movement, desire, nature of eating, type of sleeping, types of relaxations, and compare the persons who are living for others. I want to mean the persons who are in the missions, missionaries. We see the exact river picture. They are quiet, looking fantastic, neither too thin nor very fat, always happy, always smiling, always satisfied. They are stressless person, living smilingly, and we like people are living with pain, being uncontrolled by stress. What is the basic difference between the two types of persons who are not able to cope with the stress, like ordinary people like us, and the people who are living in the missionaries? The only difference is majority of common peoples, they live with I. You might have noticed that there is only one word in our literature made by only one syllable, that is I, and that is kept always big. You cannot write anywhere I as small. Why? Because I has been given the highest value. But unfortunately, we do not understand why I was given always capital, always given the highest value of all the words available in the literature. That I is presented a creature of the Almighty. I am the highest creature of the Almighty. So this I is self-respect, that some godliness, some eternal power has been given to me, and I have been made to an human beings, not an animal or beast or plants or any other creature of the universe. By forgetting that exact meaning of the I, what we feel that I should earn more, I should stand first, I should get the highest number in the class, I should eat maximum good things, I should sleep on the most comfortable, most costly bed, my relaxation will be maximum. So always we are going which makes us greedy, not satisfied. Ultimately, we become gradually weak mentally, physically, and morally. And whenever we are put under certain situations in the society, adverse situation, we face a stress and stress and stress. That means we forget to limit ourselves, our desires, expectation. We forget to live not only by I, by we. As I was telling the missionist people, they never live for I. That means they do not have any personal demands, personal grievances. They live for others. That means missionary people, they live as we, never as I. As we have seen in the organization, the members of a good organization, none of them lives as I. They live as we. Only that organization will survive where the members lives and perform their duties as we. So that we are forgetting as general people. Thinking about I, and I, we are forgetting about we. That I has got valueless until we is there, until my parents are there, until the society is there, until the thousands and thousands are helping to for my survival, starting from the early morning, the brush and the paste, till the bed cover, bed sheets. Everything has been made and supplied to me by others. So I can never live as I. We should learn to live as we. What happens? You will see, this practical experience many of you have experienced. Then when there was a joint family, we had less stress. Once we learn to live a nuclear family, happy family, as we are called in Bengali, Choto family, Choto Paribar, Sukhi Paribar. There are so many posters in our school life, a college life. But now it we are facing, the more you become nuclear, the more you have to face the stress and suffering and dissatisfaction. Once we live with we, many other people's parents, grandparents, society people's, friends, relatives, automatically the stress factor come down because subconsciously mind realizes that I has got less meaning. Only you is valid. For we, I is working. Then we find many supports, many persons around me for my happy living. Nowadays, you see, we have forget to laugh freely. We have to forget to weep freely. We have forget to share our sufferings, our difficulties, our constraints to others, to family members even. So this is the basic cause of this stress, and the only way to get rid of this stress factor is we must learn to live with others. Means I'm taking a great word of he is called to be the highest intellectual of the universe. In India, he is called as the best youth of the entire Indian history. That is Swami Vivekananda. That only they live who live for others. The rest are dead than alive. What does it mean? That a person, if he learns to live with many people, for many people, by the many people, automatically his mind will be broad, expanded, free, adaptive, and he will experience multiple types of psychology, multiple types of suffering. He'll be able to share it to others. Automatically his stress factor will come down. Means he will try to forget his I-ness, personal feelings, selfishness. He will try to learn selflessness. Anyway, this is the basic cause what I feel to face with the stress. Neither the society will reduce their stress, nor we will be able to come out from the stress if we do not practice to live with others. Means free, social living. Regarding homeopathy, I can tell you, trace diseases. Day by day, as Dr. Pralay Sharma was telling, day by day, the number of trace diseases is increasing. Among the autoimmune diseases, many diseases we are finding, one of the causes is trace. The greatest suffering nowadays is IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. Almost all cases of this IBS are due to the trace factor. Because you will find the IBS cases, they are forgot to your entertain or experiences, pleasures, entertainments. That's why the adverse features of the society puts into trace and the person suffers and suffers and suffers. That is why to reduce the trace, many people are coming to homeopathy with a picture of disease, IBS, cardiac complaint, thyroidism, then as Dr. Sharma was telling, many different types of autoimmune. There are a number of medicines we are having and fantastic medicine. You know, this IBS or other trace diseases has got no medicine. Some simply conventional medicine, somehow they try to control. But there is no specific or definite treatment in conventional system of medicine, where homeopathy has a definite treatment. We have seen rather almost all cases can be completely free from IBS, can be completely free from thyroid disorders, can be completely free from many other diseases due to trace. Madam and Pralay was telling, many cases. I will give you a few examples. Regarding staphylococcus, Dr. Sharma has told nicely. Patients are complaining, as if it has become a glass, what should I say, glass material. My person is made up of glass. Slightest irregularity, slightest insult, slightest irritable talks, he reacts to such an extent that goes on thinking, and become a patient. I'll tell you one example which I have faced. You might have heard the name of tsunami. On the third day, under the instruction of the ministry, urgently from NI, one team was sent to Andaman, Port Blair, to serve the tsunami affected persons. We went there immediately on emergency basis. In the evening, got the order. Evening at the meeting, director select the team. Morning flight, we reached in Port Blair. After going there, we are giving a place to treat by the administration on the Mela ground just by the side of the airport to treat the patients of tsunami sufferings. With a table, ordinary table, number of bottles are there. We are waiting. Infrequently, there is vibration, shaking. After effect of tsunami, frequent vibration, that is earthquake, bottles are shaking, giving sounds, glass bottles. And situation was such that VIPs, they were not able to dare to land down from the helicopter. They are just touched by shaking, again got up in the helicopter and went off. Such was the situation. Many people are suffering like anything, but none of they are coming to the homeopathy for last 2 days. We are waiting and become fed up since morning 8 till late night, up to 10. On the third day, one very robust person came and gave his identity. I am captain of Nicobar Island. I am suffering from loss of sleep. Can you help me? No medicine is giving help. All the allopathy medicines I have taken, all the measures have been taken, but I got no sleep since tsunami from Nicobar Island. I cannot remember his name. He was called to be captain, means leader of the team. Then I was thinking, what was his problem? Are you afraid of this tsunami or death? Well, no, not at all. I don't care about death. That is why he was made captain. I'm thinking how to help, how to save the people, how to save the families, how to save the children, because by this time, many countries have come to take the children, orphan children, whose parents have been flown out by tsunami. They have died, only babies are alive. So they came to take the babies. He's telling, I know that babies will be taken from here and they'll be made slave. How to save them? I don't have money. I don't have that much organization. I do not know how my government will help. So how I will save? All the people know I am a captain, I am the leader. How should I maintain this leadership? Always I am thinking and running from here to there and doing whatever necessary. 24 hours means, it doesn't mean the 23 plus half an hour. Without sleep, day and night he's working. He just came to us as casual. Nobody's coming. The homeopathy one team has come as a joke. Then we decided, let us try. You have taken so many medicines, no result. Take our medicines. It is very clear to all of you that Naxmika was given 30 potency, 3 hourly, and then patient, the person, that leader, that captain didn't turn back. In the late noon, he came and telling in English that your medicine is miracle. After so many days, I slept since last night till late noon and feeling fresh like anything. What is your medicine? How fantastic it is. We are very happy. He was also happy. He left. Within 10 minutes, we heard that in the mic, there is announcement that this counter number such and such, there is a homeopathy medicines in different languages. All are requested to go there who are not getting improved by other medicines. Go, you will be helped. I am Captain such and such is telling. Go there and get treatment. I have seen what is homeopathy. Then the patients started coming. Gradually there was a queue, and we are very happy by seeing number of patients. We had treatment. From there, we went to different islands of Andaman, being invited and of our own to serve the people of Tsunami. So this was the effect of Naxmika, the trace factor, the trace medicine. I can tell you one example in my life. This is serious experience regarding Andaman Tsunami, as I'm telling. Any student who are facing trace during examination, what will happen? Should I be able to get 95% marks and no sleep? Day and night study, loss of appetite, irregular diet. You just try by giving oxygen, you will see the miracles. The boy will sleep, the boy will be fresh, will be able to remember more things. If a student goes on reading 24 hours without any sleep, automatically his brain will be tired, he'll be more depressed, he'll be more tense, and result will be automatically bad. Not as per expectation. Several times I have tried, I got the result fantastic, you can also try. Any other condition, when, as Dr. Sharma was stating, found some family members are seriously sick, hospitalized, day and night busy, no sleep, no proper food, sinking gradually, restless, either becoming depressed or irritable, try Naxmika. You will see the beauty. In my opinion, Naxmika is the king of this stress medicine. As per social development or modernization is concerned, as per our present I factor, ego factor is concerned, as per physiology is concerned, this irregularity of the society, personal activities, irregular diets, irregular activities, ultimately Nax is the grand medicine. Not I am telling that Nax is the only medicine and also always should be given. There are a number of medicines, but in my opinion, it's a king medicine of trace, whether it is chronic or acute. Another medicine, Dr. Sharma was telling, IBS. If a patient, we find that he is complaining, no relief, but he is coming. What does it mean? He is not getting any relief, telling that I have no relief, I am suffering as before. But why he is coming then? So obviously he is feeling something fresh or something better than before. Otherwise, he could stop coming to me. In those cases, if we find that he is hypersensitive regarding his own respect, definitely staphysagria will help you. One of the greatest medicine of IBS is staphysagria. As Dr. Sharma was telling, I have tasted the psoriasis. One of the greatest medicine is staphysagria. If we find there is this symptom that is over sentimental or very much aware about his respect. There are a number of medicines, man has beautifully explained, but trace factor homeopathy is the best treatment, very soft, safe, and automatically complaints goes up. Not only that, patient gets a separate defense from his internal sides. Along with the trace factors, many other complaints go down. And what I have experienced that once you can cure a trace factor patient with any complaint, in near future, later future, he never comes with that complaints of trace disorders. Means his system, his psychology, his mentality develops or improves in such a manner, as Hahnemann told, to restore the sick to health as it is termed, means the patient automatically develops defense mechanism to face with the traces. He usually never gets tired of the traces in the society. So obviously, brothers, you have experienced, many of you have many experiences, but be sure that for trace, homeopathy is the best system in available system of medicine. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Uh, thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Have a
Uh, Sir, the key takeaway message from today's discussion is that while stress is an inevitable part of life, its negative impacts can be mitigated through informed and proactive management. By understanding the physiological effect of stress and adopting contemporary strategies, we can better support our patient and ourselves in achieving this healthier and more balanced lives. Thank you all the viewers today who are watching this webinar right now and will be watching this webinar in future for their participation and engagement. Let's continue to apply these insights in our practice as well as in our personal lives, fostering a healthier and less stressful future. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. Thank
Thank you
you
so
all.
much,
Thank
sir.
you, sir.
Expecting to meet you
Thank
again.
you, everybody. Thank you, everybody. And we'll be meeting again on with the 96th episode on the second Sunday of the month of July. So stay tuned and please subscribe the channel. I'll request Orko Mukherjee to give your part of the IT part and conclude the session. Over to Orko Mukherjee.
And please stay back. Please stay back. We all will stay back.
Thank you all. Thanks for watching. I hope you have enjoyed today's CME. And if you have so, please do make sure to give it a subscribe, give this video a like, and to see more related content like this means if you want to get notified to other upcoming live streams, so you can just click on the red button. It will say subscribed. It will turn to gray, and then click on the bell icon to just get the notification. And also we are on everything, actually on everything except the LinkedIn thing. So all the links of our social media are given on the description below. Do make sure to check it out. And regarding the IT stuffs, we will soon bring some new changes after the 100th CME, which may be probably on September, if my calculation isn't wrong. And let's hope for the best. We can see different things here on stream, I means on this streaming and also on the IT part. And let's hope for the best. So with this, good night to all. See you on our next CME and Probably it may be on 13, but let's hope for the best. So thanks again. Good night. Have a great new day tomorrow.